Now let's talk a bit more about Apple loops, because they're a really great feature, they're really useful, and a lot of professional producers will use Apple loops to thicken up their tracks. There's at least one really famous song that's based entirely around an Apple loop, and they're completely royalty free, so you don't have to worry about using them and selling your music with Apple loops because they're there for that exact purpose. So to get to them, we just hit this icon here, and that's going to open the loop section. Now what we've got here is a way of filtering loops in this top window, and in this bottom window we've got the actual loops themselves. So if I just wanted drums, I just hit that and now it's just showing me drums. But if I also wanted to filter them by feel and style, I could say cheerful drums, or I could say relaxed drums. And you can also do the same for organ. I can say grooving organ, melodic organ. Doesn't look like they've got a lot of organs. So let's try guitars. I can say processed guitars, or I can say distorted, electric. So you can just add all these filters to find exactly what you're looking for. Anytime you can hit reset to completely remove them. So let's try composing a song. The first step would be the drums. So let's change this to drums. Right click on hiss, and I can change the images. So let's go to drums. Now make sure this is on all drums. Let's say beats. And let's go for an acoustic feel. Now to listen to them, you simply click this icon here and it will start playing. And click it again to stop. So go through and listen to each one until you find a favourite. So I quite like that one. So then all we do is drag this in to here. So every single loop comes with a tempo, and you can see here it says tempo 92. And that means it's 92 beats per minute. So when it's the first loop that you drop in, it's going to ask you, do you want to import the tempo information? As in, do you want to change your project to the same tempo? If you were already writing a song and you knew what you wanted a tempo to be because you'd written a guitar part or a vocal melody, then you would want to say don't import, and it would then conform it to the session BPM, which we can't see at the moment because it's set to time. But if you're composing a new song and you're starting with the drums, it makes sense to keep the drums in the same tempo. So I'm going to import that. And now if we go to beats and time, you'll see beats and project even, you'll see that now our project is in 91 BPM. So if I wanted to delete that and make our project 100 BPM, I could change it there, drag that in, and then this time I'm going to say don't import. And now what the project has done is actually converted these drums to our tempo. So you can drag in anything and it's going to convert it to the tempo of your song, which makes it super easy. Of course, if your song's at 120 BPM, you might not want to use a drum loop that's at 80 BPM, because then it's going to have to speed it up quite a lot and it might sound unnatural. So let's listen to this at 100 and reset the panning. So that sounds kind of slow to me. Let's try 90. Even slower. So let's try speeding that up. That's the kind of feel that I'm going for here. So now if we hit this and go to loop, now we've got our drums are looped for pretty much infinity, as you can see, until the end of our project, which we can extend with that. So now let's go back in and we can just start auditioning loops and bringing them in. So what do we need next? We need a bass line, and let's go with clean. And we can sort by tempo as well, so that we can find something that's around the right tempo, 110. And again, if you had a key, you'd probably want to pick a bass that was in the right key or conform it. But since I don't have any previous part written, I'm just going to grab anything. So let's listen to a few more. And what you can hear is they're actually converting to the key and the tempo of our song. So if I change the key to B minor and the tempo to 100, this will now sound different. So this is great because you can already hear what it's going to sound like in the context of the song. I like that bass line, so let's go back to 110 and let's change it to the key of that bass line so that we're not having to alter that at all, because sometimes if you're editing the key of a piece of music like a bass, it can sound a bit strange. So the less you process it and the more similar the key is to your project, the better. So if we change that to D major, drag this in, and let's just loop that as well. Let's have a listen. And then we can just experiment with the BPM. You can drag it as well like this. So let's try that. And then after that, we can then keep going, adding in parts. An electric piano, for example, might sound good here. So let's go grooving. And you just keep building up your song like so. And of course, we're doing this very basic at the moment, just using loops. Let's listen to that. Now it sounds a bit too slow to me. So you can hear how easy it is to make something that sounds good. You really can't go wrong. I mean, I could just grab a load of random loops and drop them in and it would just work. Let's try that. Let's just throw in a few random things. Let's import that. And you really can't go wrong. Let's have a listen. That's it. It's that easy.